Hey, what's up? Scott Balkum here from Imagination Creation Films, and today we're going to be talking about tripod heads and why are there so many? There's a variety of tripod heads out there, and they can get a little confusing for the average person. So let me try to break these down a little bit so you can understand their purposes and when you should and should not use them, etc., etc. Let's break these down. What do we got here? Well, there are two primary different types of heads. There are photographic heads and there are video heads. Basically, the difference is photographic heads are designed to allow you to get your camera into a position, lock it off, and take your shot. Whereas a video head, it may be able to get you that locked off shot as well, but it's also designed to move up and down very, very fluidly. It's also designed to carry load, which photographic heads don't necessarily have to do. They have to be rated to hold the load, but they don't need to hold the load in position. So this right here is just a 3-axis head. It basically allows you to go in 3 different directions. So you can go 90 degrees, you can go up and down, and then of course you can rotate side to side. It mounts to the bottom of your tripod just like this, and you have a nice, simple photographic setup. It is fairly quick and fairly solid. Next type of head is a pistol grip. Pistol grip goes on here, and you squeeze the trigger and then it locks into place. It does a fairly good job. You cannot hang a giant lens or a giant camera on a pistol grip. It just magically just starts to creep down, and that's not good. These are more difficult to get level, so if you're looking for that very nice level shot against the horizon, these are going to be a little more tricky because you get it and then you get it and then you get it and you move it and you're like, screw it. So these are the two typical types of photographic heads. I do photography a lot less than I do video work, so I have fewer, my wife probably appreciates that, of these photo heads. So video heads, they come in a variety as well. There are a few different types. Let's first go into the type of mount. So this type of mount on the bottom here, it's a flat mount and it has a 3/8 thread. That is the standard for all photographic. It's 3/8, it's flat, which means it is a simple connection and it's not rated for a whole lot of weight. The next one you go to is a ball mount. And a ball mount, quite frankly, if you look at this, you can see I can move this. So the ball mount is basically, it's a half ball on the bottom. It's designed to allow you to level it once you get there. So you set your tripod up and your tripod's not on even ground. You don't have to sit there and try to get your legs perfect. You just use the little bubble level on the back and then you get it just right. Then you tighten it up and you now have a level. That's fantastic for speed. So ball mounts primarily come in 75, 100, and 150 millimeters. So this is a 75 millimeter ball mount. It's designed for lighter capacity loads up here. The 100 millimeter mount would be for heavier payloads, and then the 150 is for just ginormous payloads. And then they actually go to a Mitchell mount, which is above that. The 75 millimeter, you can actually go up to about 26, up to maybe 30 pounds. Typically, you're going to go to 100 millimeter after about 20, just because it makes more sense. Now, another thing about video heads is there is a fluid and a non-fluid. In these heads, there are a variety, almost like clutch plates, and there's fluid. It's a very sticky kind of oil that sits between these plates. And what that does is allows you to move this up and down and it not just free flop. This one is set to free flop right this moment. Now it's super floppy, and I can tighten this up. And now it's very, very hard to move, but that makes a very fluid movement. It's very nice for getting those cinematic pans and tilts. I say there's non-fluid. The non-fluid are going to be your cheaper video heads, and there are some that say they're fluid and they're not fluid. If you're not paying a bit of money for it, it's probably not fluid. Remember when I said video heads have to be able to carry a capacity. Now, what exactly is that capacity for? Well, let me demonstrate over here on this Miller. So here's a red camera, and this is rigged. It's got battery, it's got follow focus, it's got handles. It's all over the place. It is sticking out the back and it's sticking out the front. If I didn't have a capacity for this camera, let me just loosen this thing up. See, it wants to fall. That's not good. So what do? Well, they add in some spring tensioners in there. Now, the higher the quality of video head, the more capacity it can carry, as well as the range of capacity. So you might have, where I don't know right off the top of my head, but I think the Miller may be rated for 5 to 25 pounds, which means it can compensate between 5 and 25. If you put a 4-pound on there, it would have too much resistance and it would spring it back. So what you're wanting is this ideal scenario where it stays where you put it. So in this case, this is a very heavy camera top to bottom. I can dial this one all the way, and now it will basically stay where I put it. And you can see it's actually a little bit back heavy. Yep. So we just move this forward a little bit, lock it back. I do commit a little bit more weight to this Miller than I really should, but it does a pretty good job of holding it. Now, they also have a dialable amount of resistance in that fluid. I mean, you can really push down. You can see my muscles working, but I'm pushing really hard to get this to move because that fluid in there is packed in tight. And that means that it's going to allow a very, very fluid move. Now, I can set the pan to just freewheel or spill my drink, or I can set it to its maximum capacity, and now I'm having to really push hard. Now that makes for some very cinematic shots. When you have to crank really hard to move it, then that means that all your little body movements, your wiggling that you may be doing, won't show up in your shot. Sure, you might be able to pull it off every once in a while, but you'll never pull it off all the time. But you set in a lot of resistance, and now you can get a beautiful, continuously moving fluid pan or tilt or both. Now, this one has a very, very small load. It is, I think, up to about 7 or 8 pounds. It is not configurable for the amount of load. It is only, you can only configure it to have load or no load. I know the Sattlers and the higher end Millers, you may have 9 different settings that you can do for capacity. More is actually better, but it also comes at a price. Those nicer Millers and Sattlers, they'll cost you $7,000 for the head. So in a nutshell, that should sum up tripod heads. And as always, if I didn't answer a question that you had, please feel free to drop it in the comments below. I do try to respond to every single question that's down there. Even if I don't know the answer, I'll point you in the direction to where to get the answer. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and click subscribe down there below and click the little alert bell next to the subscription. That'll let you know every time I upload a video because you do want to know, right? And subscribing really helps me because what it does is it tells me that I have an audience that is engaging and is becoming back for more, that is interested in what I have to put out there, which means I'm on the right track to helping you because that's really what I'm trying to do is just to help you. You could tell your friends about my channel because, you know, why wouldn't you want to? I mean, it's me. And yeah, so this has been Scott Balkum from Imagination Creation Films, and don't let your life lead your passions. Let your passions lead your life.